All right, so I got a question for you. When you ask your patients or clients what's keeping them from making the changes that they need to make, from doing the homework that you provide to them, from doing that home program, what responses do you generally get? Time, yeah. And I get a lot of blank stares too, like, and a lot of various excuses like, I guess I don't want it that bad. Or I'm so busy with work and the kids, and I get it, life, it happens. But I have this tendency to dig a little deeper, and when I do, the truth comes out. And then it sounds more like, well, I guess I don't really want it that bad, or I guess it's just me. I'm getting in the way of myself. I'm not doing anything to make life happen. And most of them don't really understand why that happens or how they get in the way of themselves. And honestly, that's totally true for me, and I think it's true for most of us. That is until there's a spark. A spark is something that, to ignite an understanding, right, and a push for change. A spark is a belief. It's a little baby belief. It's the beginning of a new belief that can either blow up or blow out. And a spark, if left alone, it'll die quickly. It'll burn up. It'll become a dark ash and be forgotten in a pit. But with the right environment and the right support, it can become a raging and beautiful fire. And we as practitioners, as other humans, we have the ability to provide a strong environment for that spark, whether it's movement therapy, diet, or any other modality that we choose, or even just telling somebody, I know you can do it. We can become the spark in someone else's life. A spark is a moment in someone's life, in our life, when something just changes. We get it, and we can make a change. But it's never as simple as just doing it. Because first we have to believe that we can do it. Action follows belief. And believe it or not, I did not have that. It did not come naturally to me. I never had a real strong belief in myself. And I've always struggled with a bit of depression. So anything I always did was kind of half-assed, as I read from my script. The reason why I do that is because I always have, it's my way to bail out. I don't have that excuse. I never really believed that it would work, or in myself, or that I believed it should work for myself. And so for as long as I can remember, I've always had this little insecurity, this voice in the back of my head that said, you kind of suck, bro. You're not very good at anything. Why do people like you? And so I struggled doing something I think we all struggle with, and it's subconsciously looking for situations that would reinforce our belief system. And so I looked for situations that would reinforce the belief that I sucked. And let me tell you, there are so many things that can reinforce beliefs. And there are two very specific situations, and you have to excuse me, I've never talked about this publicly, that reinforced my belief that I was not good enough. I was in a great relationship with someone I thought and felt was the rest of my life. And it was all the good stuff you see in movies, right? Plans of marriage, buying a house, having kids, a real future, right? We'd planned these things together, and I was happy. I felt good. And I was painfully oblivious to the issues of my own world. Ignorant, really, and ignorance is bliss, as they say. And I know what you're thinking, great heartbreak story. Blech. And yes, it is, but I'll keep it brief, I promise. I was happy, that's the point, okay? At least I thought I was at the time. So when it came out of frickin' nowhere, I was totally caught off guard. She broke up with me. Big surprise. We knew that was coming, right? But at my parents' house, during my dad's birthday party. Brutal. How could she do that? Kind of brutal. But in hindsight, she needed to break up with me for many reasons, for both of our sakes, so I don't hold it against her. But at the time, I was not prepared. I was blindsided. So she left me there. She quit both of her jobs. She dropped out of college. She left town. And she started dating someone new within a few days. and was engaged to this guy shortly after that. Totally blindsided. This was all in just a few days. Imagine what that would do to somebody's damaged belief system, the belief that they suck. It blew it up. It totally reaffirmed for me that I sucked. It perfectly reminded me how terrible I was, how unworthy I was of her and of anybody else, how I didn't belong. This was a trigger for me. It was the reinforcement that I'd been subconsciously looking for to back up that damaged self-belief. So now I'm heartbroken, I'm struggling with depression, and I'm very confused, right? I got stuck on it. I got stuck thinking about these things that I'd been put through. And I thought we had something strong, something real, but it was obviously worth so little to her. And because I couldn't stop thinking about it, I eventually figured out the answer. I found the answer that I'd been looking for. And that answer was the belief that I sucked was true. It was obvious. She saw it, so I believed it. And so that belief, it kept growing and growing, and it led me into a very deep pit of depression, one full of shame, guilt, self-blame, and self-hatred. I just plain wasn't good enough, and I knew that. I felt it in my core. I felt it in my soul. And as a matter of fact, why am I even here? That's a scary thought. And it sat there in the dark, waiting for more reinforcement. And man, I felt so bad about myself. I did not think things could get worse. And then it was a beautiful November day, shortly after I graduated Gift in 2018, right after Thanksgiving, so I just spent some time with my friends, my family. I was actually with my friend and my dog, and we were going on an adventure, and I just picked up some of my favorite pizza, and I began to think, you know what, maybe my life's not so bad. Maybe things are okay. And then I was blindsided, again, this time literally. A speeding SUV slammed into my truck so hard that it broke the cab from the rest of the vehicle with us inside. My friend Jenna, my dog Lola, and my pizza. I remember waking up and I remember looking around in a daze, and I remember thinking to myself when I saw those ambulance lights, I thought, damn, someone got in an accident. And I looked down, and I saw my friend laying in my lap, and she was covered in my blood, and my dog was gone. And then I realized numbly, damn, it was us. And so I blacked back out. And I woke up in the ER, and it turns out everyone's fine, which was a relief. Jenna was next to me. She was wailing on me for making a very poorly timed joke. They had found Lola, and even my pizza made it, so that's good news. And yes, I did eat some later. But the hospital report had a dislodged steering column, broke my shoulder. The seatbelt worked properly, but I had some serious hip trauma. My C2 vertebrae twisted in two, and I broke my neck. My head smashed into the sidewall, and I had a TBI and lost huge chunks of the memory of my life. So now there's heartbreak, depression, confusion, and now there is true mental instability. And I had to lay still for the next 3 months with nothing to do but stare at the ceiling, the wall, or the TV. And I was stuck with this huge voice, this now huge voice that said, "You're not good enough. You're a pain. You're a literal burden on other people. Why are you here?" And that voice got louder and louder and convinced me that something did not go right in that accident. I became fully immersed in the belief that something was wrong with my existence. It was wrong because I lived. And so I let myself go down into a very dark pit, one without light, one without any chance of a spark, one where I couldn't be a problem for other people because I believed that I belonged there. I didn't think I could escape from it. This was my absolute darkest hour. And it was an hour that lasted months while I wasted away in neck gear from an accident that I wished had taken my life. Then, the night immediately after my neck gear came off, I started drinking, assuming it would numb the pain. It didn't. Instead, my body started rejecting the alcohol, obviously, the pain meds, and the various other substances that I consumed, and it began detoxing. It forced me to begin detoxing. And in that vomit, I had sort of an aha moment. My body was rejecting those substances and the beliefs that took me there. And in that moment, I asked myself, I literally asked it out loud because I had to drown out that other stupid voice. Why are you doing this to yourself, man? And I didn't have an answer then, but I knew I was done feeling that way. I knew I was done believing that I deserved that pain, that suffering. And the paradigm shifted. And that's when I made a deal with myself. And so through that deal, a baby little spark was born. And in a complete stupor, completely exposed, my perspective shifted. There was a spark, man, in my pit of self-destruction and despair. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I certainly didn't know how I was going to make it bigger, but I wasn't going to do nothing anymore. Because up to that point, I'd obviously been making the decision to do nothing. So with this new spark, I held up that deal, and I began to break the belief that I sucked. I had hope. So I fanned the flame of that little baby spark, and I got books, and already with no motivation, that was hard. So I hired therapists. I hired doctors. I studied. I took courses. I took classes. I did everything that I could think of, and that spark grew. The key is the people that I worked with. They're all my friends around my metaphorical bonfire. They added warmth and understanding to my life. My professionals, the people that worked with me, they created the environment and provided the support that helped me to grow that spark. And more importantly, I learned how I could be a spark for other people so I could help them find their spark and grow their light. And that's what motivates me now. And honestly, if I were to guess, that's probably what motivates all of you. But I really got to nail something. The point is not that these things happen to me. The point is the things that happen to me reinforced already existing beliefs. I had to find my spark alone. And it was hard. It was lonely. And it was a process that nearly took my life twice. So the point is, we as struggling humans ourselves, we have the opportunity to create a new belief, to spark something new in someone else, to start a journey, and then to walk alongside them as they go through that journey. And what an honor that is. What a freaking privilege it is to be able to spark the body through movement, the mind through encouragement and education, the spirit through love. It would have been immensely helpful to have somebody intersect that into my story while it was happening. And I believe that we all have the gifts necessary to break into a pit of dark belief and create an awesome spark so that a body, a mind, and a spirit can flourish in the light. I believe that we, humans in general, but especially us practitioners, people who are put in this position, we exist so that other humans don't have to do it alone. Because a spark, if left alone, will have a very short lifespan. But with the right support that we can provide, it can ignite and explode into a warm and beautiful flame. One surrounded by happiness, excitement, and love, one worth sharing. So as a gifted human, don't underestimate your ability to blow a little warmth into someone's mind, to make a little fire in a muscle, and to ignite someone's spirit with love and compassion. Because that's exactly what we're here to do.